tuning in to this week's edition of the Brett and Matt Show. As always, I'm Matt, he's Brett, and this week we have a special guest, Josh Jaeger, is going to be joining us for some football talk. Josh, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, that's right. I am here, and I feel very welcome. Honestly, the two of you guys are very, very nice and very kind. I feel like, I walked in here and I was worried. I was really nervous, but now that I've gotten to chat with you guys a little bit and just such a warm welcome, such a warm embrace from the two of you, I feel much better now. And I do have a little bit. I have another podcast that I do. It is called Pro Wrestling Off Topic. I do that with a friend Zach Hagenbusher and myself. We talk about wrestling. And you guys coming over here to do this show with you guys, and we're mainly talking real sports, right? Not pro wrestling.
Right.
Okay. So I have a good segue though, because the main event from WrestleMania that happened just last month was between two former Minnesota defensive ends, Minnesota Viking defensive ends, Joe Anoa'i and Brock Lesnar. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and the Minnesota Vikings actually tweeted the day before that WrestleMania main event, good luck to our former defensive ends, Brock Lesnar and Joe Anoa'i, who is now known as Roman Reigns. But thought that was kind of cool.
I did not know Roman Reigns was a former football player.
He was. He's actually was in the 2007 draft. He went undrafted, and the Vikings picked him up right after the draft on basically the 8th day.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
He played in preseason. He was going to be on the practice squad. He got cut right before the season started, and then he got picked up by Jacksonville. And he was on their practice squad for a couple of months, and then just cut, and then became a pro wrestler.
Fair enough. What did you think of this recent WrestleMania? It actually got a lot of, I think, positive pub, even some yen time and everything. Was that pretty big for you as like a wrestling fan? Because I know that obviously ESPN and such doesn't always cover, say, the wrestling events.
It was a pretty good show. I really liked most of it. I think the reason why they got so much publicity from like real sporting type venues and vendors is because of the Ronda Rousey incident that happened in the ring. The Rock was in the ring. Hulk Hogan was at the show. He came down with the NWO. So there was a lot of really cool things that happened in the show, and a lot of things that kind of got the entertainment business buzzing about it. But now, unfortunately, they're left with the task of trying to follow it up with something, and they probably won't. So now we're going to sit and watch Brock Lesnar sit on his butt for 5 months, and he won't be on the show, and there won't be any Rock every week, and Ronda Rousey's not going to show up again, so it's going to be really tough for them to kind of try to match that entertainment and excitement level again.
I do have to admit, and I tweeted out, I don't know if anyone saw that, but when I didn't watch it live, but I saw just like, on Deadspin, and they had like that little clip where The Rock is off to the side of the ring, and all of a sudden Ronda's there. He looks at Ronda, and then he looks up at the ring like, I won't hit a girl, but I got Ronda, so he pulls Ronda. I laughed so hard while he's sitting there pondering, what he was going to do, and it just kind of hit him, and I was like, this is hilarious. I wish I was watching that live. It would have been pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty funny.
I see you're wearing the Jordy shirt.
Oh, Jordy. No, actually, it's Robert.
Oh, wow, you're going old school.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I like Jordy. He's pretty good, but he's definitely the number 287 in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I remember Robert Brooks from back in the day, but wow.
Yeah. He's basically a Sterling Sharp story. If he hadn't gotten hurt, he'd probably be all of Donald Driver's records would be Robert Brooks records, in my opinion.
That's possible. And then, obviously, and then if Sharp wasn't hurt, he would have had all the records. So, unfortunate series of events there. But it's a nice jersey to be wearing today because, I mean, I think, Matt, our biggest topic of the day is mostly going to be Green Bay Packers stuff, right?
Yeah, you betcha. So that said, we'll kind of jump into it. So the Packers made some, I guess they call them free agent moves, but so the Packers kept some of their own free agents, and some big ones that they kept were Randall Cobb, Brian Bulaga. It was recently announced they re-signed B.J. Raji and LaTroy Guion. So Josh, I gotta ask, what are your thoughts on how the Packers did in free agency, and if you do or don't like the signings that we made?
I'm insulted. How could you not have mentioned Kyle Sebetic? You're going to talk about Sebetic mania? Aren't you excited? We got a safety. We got someone to line up next to Clinton Dix finally. I can't believe it. You just completely passed right over that. That's the big free agent signing of the year, man.
How can I miss that?
He's making the moves. Now, honestly, that's pretty much the MO of the Packers. I mean, in all seriousness, they re-sign their guys. They keep who they can. They let go of guys, too. I mean, there's a lot of I was really sad to see Jamari Lattimore go, actually, because I think that's one of their biggest weaknesses right now is going to be the inside linebacker position, and they're doing nothing. I don't know if they're just going to draft or what are they going to do with him, but they got Barrington and Bradford as their starting inside linebackers. They still refuse to call Clay Matthews an inside linebacker, so I don't know. I'm worried about a couple positions for sure, but I'm happy. I'm very happy that they did the re-signings that they did. I mean, Guyon and Raji, that really makes me really excited for that line. I think the line's going to be short up. As long as obviously nobody gets hurt or anything, I think they'll be stronger this year than they were last year even. Bulaga's a big deal, and of course Randall Cobb. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Even though I was completely for him walking. I liked the idea of them having an extra $10 million on the cap so they could spend it on whoever they wanted to. I was a big person behind the entire Greg Jennings movement. Bring him back, he'd be a lot less expensive. You could push Adams into that number 2 receiver. But hey, now it's Cobb and Nelson again. They got 2 elite running or wide receivers. I mean, they should be pretty good in every position. I'm just a little bit worried about defense right now.
Sure. To be fair to your point about saving the $10 million, I did just see a tweet today that the Packers actually have the 8th most cap room still left, which is
but they could have had the 1st or 2nd most, man. Come on.
What?
Well, with nobody left
At the expense of losing Randall Cobb.
But I'm actually, like I said, I mean, I know what did he end up getting? Like 11. He's getting paid slightly more than Jordy's getting paid.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, pretty much. I thought it was a little more than what we were going to offer. I thought we were going to go in that 9 to 10 million range. And really, going into the offseason, there were probably only 2 people, maybe 3 that I really wanted us to sign. One was Cobb, one was Bulaga, and then I wanted us to keep one of the corners, at least short term. If we could have kept House or kept Tremont, I think that would have been helpful, because now that means we're going to have to slide Micah Hyde down from, instead of being like that safety kind of nickel hybrid guy, he's pretty much at this point the nickel guy.
Yeah.
And so that's hurting a little bit of depth that we'd have at safety, plus obviously losing 2 guys at corner hurts the depth there. So not only inside linebacker concern coming into the draft, but I think corner probably might be something that we'll attack early on as well.
Yeah, I was it's weird. I definitely am worried about cornerback for sure, but I'm kind of excited about Casey Hayward being a starter or a potential starter. Like, could he be just as good as Sam Shields? I mean, as looking at his rookie year, he's a ball hog. He's got an eye for the game. It's kind of like Micah Hyde, but Micah Hyde's not quite as fast as Hayward. So, I mean, maybe those guys, maybe Ted's just like, these guys are the guys that are going to step up. I mean, Tramon Williams blew the NFC Championship at the end there. If it had been Hayward on him, who knows what would have happened.
Right, and I like Casey. Like, you remember looking back at his rookie year, he led the league, I think, in picks. He had 7, playing partial time in the slot. So, I mean, I don't know if he's got the game for an outside guy, though. Obviously, he was great that year, but he was in the slot. Moving outside and having to guard like a number 1 or number 2, it's definitely a lot different sort of game. So, he's gonna have to stay healthy, and then because I don't think he's really been that healthy since that rookie year.
I don't even know if he was healthy his rookie year. I think he only played 10 or 11 games. So yeah.
So yeah, we're definitely counting on something there. I hope it's a decent corner draft. So I hope we take one of those guys early, 1st, 2nd round, to go with hopefully a 1st or 2nd round inside linebacker.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, I think it's funny. I think in the last 3 years I saw something that said Green Bay has drafted 5 wide receivers in the last 3 years, which is more than any other team, but they haven't drafted any of them in the first round or first 2 rounds or something like that. It has to be the 1st round, right? Because
Adams was the 2nd.
Well, Adams was the 2nd.
Adams was the second round. So yeah, we've drafted the most receivers, but none in the first. So I'm not anticipating a first-round receiver, but you'll know we'll probably stack up on some of that too, because Jeff Janis, physical freak, apparently couldn't get his mind around a playbook as a freshman or rookie. So I mean that's okay. But you'd like for him to kind of start to grasp that a little bit, and then with Jared Abbrederis' leg injury, second time I think that he's torn his ACL, so what happens with him there too.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if there's one spot where the Packers seem to really hit on good, it's receivers. Maybe part of that is due to the fact that we have the best quarterback in the game, so he makes receivers look good. But there's no doubt that we seem to hit on our guys too. We kind of touched on some key losses, and Josh, I know in talking with you, we lost your boy House. You were always really high on him all season. I'd imagine you're a little sour seeing him leave.
No, my boy was Juwan Harris, and that I am very sad to see him go. My side action, yes, is Javon House. Yes, I really I like him more than I like Shields. So it was just what I observed last season. I don't know if it's necessarily statistically wise, and he's not as fast. He's maybe not as talented, maybe not as gifted as Shields is. But I swear, every time Shields went out, House came in and shut down that side of the. Just every time. I mean, the one time he played extensively in the last couple of years was in San Francisco in the playoff game, and Shields got hurt in that game, and they put House in there, and that receiver had no receptions for the rest of the game on that side. So I don't know. I liked House, and I was shocked to see him walk, but hey, I mean, if that gives Hyde and Hayward more playing time, and they're really going to step up and be the guys, maybe it's going to be okay.
And he also did that against Atlanta this year too with Julio. He was the only guy that was really doing anything to try to shut down Julio Jones, because I remember he was abusing our guy for 3 quarters, and then House came in, and it's nice because he's a bigger body. I think he's at 6'1". So he's got some extra bulk on him too compared to some of the other guys. So it's nice to have a bigger body out there trying to guard, especially when we have so many big receivers in the league now.
Yep. Yeah. I was sad to see him go. What do you guys think about now? Okay, we're talking about the draft and where the draft where they should go in the first or second round. I mean, I'm thinking cornerback and linebacker, but what do you guys think about any free agents that Ted could bring in to maybe make it so that he could move linebacker to the first round, or maybe even tight ends, thinking about the first round, because there's going to be some pretty powerful tight ends in that first round that might be available, and if Green Bay needs a cornerback more than anything, they're going to pass over a good tight end.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about.
I mean, all the good cornerbacks are taken right now. At least it seems like it, but there's still a couple good ones out there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I mean, I honestly I like your idea of maybe finding one plug. Maybe is Brandon Spike still a free agent?
I don't think so.
He might be, and he's more of a thumper type guy where he'd help us in the run game where we struggled.
Sure. I mean, maybe just maybe if we found someone, or like a veteran corner, like someone that could just come on, so we wouldn't necessarily have to address one of those issues right away in the first round. Like, we could have the luxury to draft like a Max Williams out of Minnesota, or the tight end from the University of Miami possibly would be a really good fit. It would be nice to have one of those guys. The other thing is, I mean, obviously inside linebacker is a huge need for us. Cornerback has now turned into a need. I really still kind of think that Ted Thompson might surprise everyone and just draft someone that no one's expecting. Just actually legitimately take maybe who the best player on his board is. And I don't know, the last few years maybe we've gotten lucky, and maybe Clinton Dix legitimately happened to be the best player on our board, and he happened to fall to us as well. I don't know, what are your thoughts, Brett?
Well, I mean, what I would like is for Green Bay to call up Chris Borland and say, we'll give you $100 million if you want to come play. Come out of retirement. We know your health is very important to you, so $100 million will take care of you for life. Come play Green Bay, all right? You know you want to. No, yeah, unfortunately at this moment, since we have been through free agency, I don't think there's a lot left for us to go for free agency-wise. But you mentioned Spikes. Joe Mays, I guess, was an inside linebacker that's played some, but there's not much else out there for that. And then as far as tight ends go, yeah, we could probably use a guy. I don't know if we're going to take a guy in 1 overall because the only one there is probably going to be Max. What's his last name out of Minnesota?
Williams.
Max Williams, yeah. He's probably the only guy. So I don't think we'll be going tight end there. Jermaine Gresham is a free agent still, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, I don't know if he's actually lived up to any sort of hype at all, but it's at least a solid name out there if we really wanted to add a tight end. And especially, obviously, at this point in free agency, too, it's kind of like, hey, obviously no one's called you up yet, so we know that you're not getting a ton of offers, and you can offer these guys a little bit less than probably what they think they're worth.
Yep.
Which is nice. And he's a big body, too, 6'5", 260 pounds, so, he'd help kind of do some things over the middle there and help, keep Jordy and Randall open on the outsides. Not that they really need that much help.
Yeah, it's not like I'm thinking that these guys are going to be starters and they're going to instantly improve the linebackers or cornerbacks or anything like that kind of positions. But they might be a veteran leader to show the guys that they do draft this season, for a year, just to look at like a Jermaine Gresham, or even a name that I was looking at is Terrell Brown from the Raiders. He's a cornerback. He's still a free agent, and according to the quarterback tracker on ProFootball.com, he's the 7th rated free agent cornerback out there, and so far he's got no offers.
Thanks for bringing up PFF, by the way. I'm a big PFF fan.
There's also Charles Tillman, Matt. I know you want to bring him in.
I don't think he would come and play for the Packers.
Why not?
What?
Every team in the division signs, former Packers. We just
That's
brought
true.
in.
Maybe Julius Peppers could talk him over and say, hey, come on over.
You come over for, a 1-year deal. You and me can retire Packers. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Also, Ike Taylor's still out there, but he's kind of old and shitty, so honestly don't really care for Ike Taylor at all at this point. I don't know what his PFF grade was. By the way, off topic, PFF, they're doing college football focus now. They're going to add that in so we can see some of the grades coming up for college football players, which I'm really stoked for because that kind of helps you lead into some draft stuff too.
Nice.
I just don't pay for it, so I just got to wait for him to tweet all the free stuff.
Right?
But yeah, was there anyone in particular? I don't have a little sheet there, but anyone in particular outside of free agency, but maybe in the draft, specific players that you kind of like? I don't know if you've looked at that a whole lot. Guys that might be there late in the first round, or heck, who knows? We'll probably trade out of the first and just pick up an extra second. No one our guy. We'll sit there. We'll watch that all day.
I'll be watching all Thursday night, and the Packers will decide they're going to trade. The Packers have announced they have traded their pick with the Houston Texans. What? Oh, we're picking in the second round. Great. I watched the whole day to watch us not pick anyone.
It'll probably happen, though. It will happen.
But that would make it more.
I would like to see. Yeah, before the draft actually happens, though, I'd like to see them re-sign Jarrett Bush. I know that sounds stupid, but I'm kind of worried about special teams. I know they just got a new special teams coach in there, and if you want to have your special teams led by anyone, I know Jarrett never plays a defensive down in the game, but the guy is really, really great and really, really exceptional on special teams, and I'd love to see him come back for whatever they want to be, a special team.
He was there for the Super Bowl. He was right there on the last play against Pittsburgh.
You got a pick in that game, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right. He actually did the best thing he's ever done in his career on a defensive end. He stole that right from that dude. That was a great play.
The Matt Flynn year, which was just 2 years ago when Mr. Collarbone went out for a couple of weeks, he was the reason why they beat Atlanta. That week 10 or whatever that started that whole trend of them beating all these mediocre teams and got them back in the playoffs. It was Jarrett Bush that caught a Matt Ryan interception.
Matt Ryan, that's Matt's favorite player right there.
Why do you gotta be picking on Matty Ice? Come on.
It's because he just always has really mediocre games against Green Bay, other than his last one. But that was just because Julio.
What did he do against Green Bay? He torched us.
Yeah, but we won, didn't we?
Well, barely.
Hey, win's a win. I don't care how bad Atlanta was.
I think Matty Ice is 0-4 in his last 4 versus us. He's turning into a younger version of Jay Cutler. But
Oh my God. Come on, he's not that bad, Josh. My goodness.
We'll see. Now they got a new coach again, so we'll see where the Atlanta Falcons end up.
That's true.
So you really like Matty Ice, huh?
Oh, I've always been a big Matty Ice supporter. Yeah, liked him in college. Liked him in the pros. I just think I don't know, he's got a shitty offensive line in front of him right now, so that doesn't help anything. He's not exactly Mr. Mobile. And Roddy White was kind of battling injuries all year, and obviously Julio Jones is elite when he's on the field and not busy rehabbing an injury.
Your Matt Ryan is my Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think.
Oh my gosh! Come on.
What? Fitzpatrick's not that bad. He always puts up stats. It's never his fault they lose.
What? He throws interceptions.
Now you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God. Well, now wait. Where's Fitzpatrick now? Is he on the Jets?
I think you might be right. Yeah. He's not a Texan anymore.
No. The Texans got your boy though.
Who?
Hoyer.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, okay. Brian Hoyer. That guy, if he was actually like given a chance to start a full season, I think he would take any team to the playoffs. And the reason I think this is because he's consistent, and I think he knows the playbook really well, and he gels with his players. Like, he gels with the whole offense. Everybody likes him. And as soon as he got benched last year, that was literally the beginning of 10 more years of awfulness for the Cleveland Browns.
Hey.
How do you take it? What was he, 7-4? I think as a starter, and then they benched him because they lost 2 in a row, and he was pretty awful on offense. But they basically gave up the season. It was the most ridiculous move I've ever seen.
Well, Josh, when the general manager is texting the head coach telling him that he needs to pull his quarterback or he's going to get fired, what do you think's going to happen?
It was a mess. It was a mess, and it wasn't fair. Now, I think if he gets a chance to start in Houston, they'll probably be a close contender. In that division, they'll probably be second in that division. It depends on what happens with him. If he gets hurt, though, they're going to be in trouble.
I don't know, Ryan Mallett's there, right? Guy's got a cannon. Doesn't know the playbook, and he doesn't have any touch, but damn, he can throw the ball really hard and really far. I think that's still all he's ever been able to do. He hasn't really done anything outside of that ever in his career. And they were second this year down in Houston with a bunch of scrubs. They played like 3 different quarterbacks that were all terrible, and they still made it 8-8. And if Cleveland had won that last game of the year, they would have made the playoffs, which is the craziest thing. It basically came down to Cleveland being Cleveland and not, winning that last game, which was actually close too. They could have won that game, and could have seen J.J. Watt win MVP maybe.
Possible.
Probably
not.
But it's possible.
So, Matt, do you want to talk about your boy now, Matt?
I guess we could either segue into that, or since we are talking about the AFC South, there's all sorts of rumors going on right now that Tennessee is willing to trade their number 2 pick possibly to acquire Phillip Rivers. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Josh?
I've heard that Phillip Rivers is not interested in moving to LA, and everything points to that the San Diego Chargers are going to be the LA Chargers by like 2017, or even earlier. So who knows? And Phillip Rivers is not interested in making that move. He's either going to be a free agent in a couple seasons and he'll move on his own to whatever team wants him, or they can trade him now and try to get something for him. If Tennessee, now this is the funny thing, is I've heard Tennessee is talking to 2 teams. There's the Phillip Rivers camp, and there's Jay Cutler in the Chicago Bears for that pick. And they're gonna have to give him more than just Jay Cutler, in my opinion, for that second pick. It's gonna have to be like their first-round pick and Cutler, or else San Diego's first-round pick and Phillip Rivers. I think if Tennessee is smart, they would aim for the Phillip Rivers trade because Rivers, in my opinion, is twice the quarterback that Jay Cutler is, and half the contract too.
Well, and the other thing Ken Wisenhunt's the head coach in Tennessee, and he also
Yep.
was the offensive coordinator for San Diego a couple of years ago. And Philip
Yep.
Rivers, that was actually, I think, maybe the year Rivers really resurged and got back to playing really good football again after a couple of down years.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's Philip Rivers' down years were because didn't he have like insane like knee
I was
surgery,
gonna say
arthroscopic?
he always seemed like he was battling injuries and stuff, and
Yeah.
receivers were kind of in and out of lineups and stuff. It just seemed like when Wisenhunt was the offensive coordinator there, and he had that one really good season before Wisenhunt obviously left. It just seemed like he really understood his system and played really well in it.
Yeah. No, I think outside of a couple years where he was injury riddled and he was either just off his game or whatever, without those years, he's an elite quarterback. And no one would even be talking about trading anyone because everybody would want Philip Rivers. So, if he can get back to that, especially with Ken Wisenhunt, and they were under Marty Schottenheimer then? Or who was the coach then? When they went like 15-1 and then got knocked out of the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah,
I
that
can't
was always. I think it was Schottenheimer.
That
That was
was
what, like
Schottenheimer then.
13 wins every year, and then they would lose the first round,
Yep.
including one in
Yep.
which they intercepted the Patriots, and then the Patriots Troy Brown stole the ball back from him
Yep.
when all he had to do was
go down.
picked it off. Yeah, that team was always really good, and then never did anything. It was
Yeah.
almost tragic, really.
Well,
Yeah, LT, they had all that talent. LT, Gates in his prime before he got real fat and slow and hurt all the time.
It lights out.
he's still good. He's still good though.
It's true.
Yeah, Gates
Gates is
still somehow just he's still
like-
decent.
He's like a modern day Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson was always a big chubby dude too, but all he did was catch touchdowns. So if he's gonna be open in the end zone, I'll take him.
I kind of like Bubba Franks, but much better. Since
Much
the
better.
thing. But all Bubba did was catch touchdowns, so we just get to the goal line and be like, hey, let's run a play action, let's throw it to Bubba.
No.
Gates a much better athlete, though.
And you have to think if Tennessee was able to acquire, well, maybe not Jay Cutler, but if they were to acquire like Philip Rivers, in that division, and you and me kind of talked about this off camera, Josh. But in that division, I mean, you got the Colts who have an elite quarterback, and the reason everyone else is so far behind is because they don't have good quarterbacks. If Tennessee can acquire Philip Rivers, they might have a legit shot to, if they can steal one game against Indy, and you never know. I mean, Tennessee could legit have a shot to maybe win that division, or be a wild card in the playoffs probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I think is Tennessee better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are like a 3-13 team. If you put an elite quarterback or a really good quarterback on that team, they'd be 8-8 at best. I look at Tennessee, and I think they're not as good as the Buccaneers, and I think they'd be not a playoff team, even with a really good quarterback.
And that's why I just say ride it out with the boy you got now. Get the talent. Well, actually, I don't know. Because if you actually can get Philip Rivers, then I might consider it.
If you can get if you can get Rivers and then draft a line, and then draft a running back, and then get the rest of your team together around him, and have going to be really good in 3 years. They will not be that good in the 2015 season.
See, but the problem with that, I think if you're going to go and draft Philip Rivers, you still got to wait 2 years before you're going to be good. At that point, looking at his career. Why is the mic being weird?
I have no idea.
Sounds like a little breaking up a little bit.
So yeah, that's basically my thought on that. Is you gotta wait. It'd be a little weird.
Then maybe,
I guess.
Especially because Philip Rivers is not exactly the youngest quarterback too. So he's 30? So you'd be waiting until he's 32, 33. That's true. If they think they can win now, then maybe they can win now. I always like Tennessee's wide receivers. I've always been a Kenny Britt fan. I think he's a great wide receiver. They just need someone to get him the ball.
They got what's right as well.
Right
Is it
as well.
Anderson
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah, no, they've got offensive weapons. They just don't. They've never had a quarterback. I mean, the best quarterback they've had in the last like 3 years was Matt Hasselbeck in his in his Jim McMahon years. You know, he's and he still hasn't retired, isn't he? Still playing?
Yeah.
Hasselbeck, he's somewhere. So.
Yeah, he's in Indy. He's in Indy. I think they just this last year.
Yeah.
That's
right.
I guess the other kind of thing we could discuss a little bit about is there's a rumor, according to a source, very close agent involved in trade talks, the Cleveland Browns and Philadelphia Eagles have engaged in multiple discussions with Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel, who's currently in rehab, and draft picks to Eagles in exchange for Eagles quarterback Sam Bradford, who was recently acquired trade from the St. Louis Rams. And according to our source, both sides are very motivated to get a deal done, with each side valuing the other's quarterback more than the quarterback they currently have on the roster. Long story short, what do you guys think of Johnny Manziel possibly going to Philadelphia and Sam Bradford possibly going to the Browns?
This sounds like the craziest thing in the history of football. This sounds like John Madden football. Like, dude, I just got this guy. I want to make this crazy-ass trade. For what reason? It sounds like the front office in the Philadelphia Eagles have lost their minds. I did hear, though, that Sam Bradford is not interested in playing in Philadelphia. So, I mean, that was a stupid trade to begin with then. I mean, in all seriousness, you've signed a quarterback or you've traded for a quarterback who doesn't even want to play for you. I kind of don't care. I don't know. Sam Bradford, if he was, a Cleveland Brown quarterback, what is that going to do? Like, unless he plays, if he plays all 16 games, then maybe they're in a winning position. But the Eagles, this sounds like crazy. This just sounds crazy to me. It's just completely nuts.
It doesn't make sense. At all. Especially if that first year, but it's funny. It's like the people that sold jerseys. They basically withheld putting out new jerseys after all these trades because they're afraid of they think that you might just trade any of these and they're going to have a bunch of jerseys that aren't even on the
I think do think that I guess I am the only one on the Johnny Manziel game for the days, so I might as well just keep riding it. I guess if anyone's offense, it might as well be Philadelphia's. Chip Kelly originally recruited him anyways when he was in high school. I guess if Mark Sanchez can have success in the offense, why can't Johnny football?
Matt, can you see me? You've lost your mind. Johnny Manziel. Okay, if he does work out in a collegiate style, like offense, maybe, then maybe you got something there with Philadelphia. But I can't imagine the Eagles moving forward with Johnny Manziel being any better than what they were last year with the two quarterbacks that they had going. Like, they're going to take a giant step back. If this is what Chip Kelly wants to do with his offense, if he wants to have an offense that's ran in this style, and then if Johnny Manziel is the guy because he's got his own style and he's got his own collegiate style, the run first or that's maybe. I think it's such little chance of it being successful that I think this is crazy. I think if you've got Sam Bradford, that there was rumors before, a week or two ago, that the Eagles could move up and draft a quarterback in the first round too. So this is a horrible idea. I mean, to trade for Sam Bradford was a horrible idea. Like, the Eagles are the most idiotic team right now. The only good move they did was signing Dallas's running back.
for a deal that was McCoy had or close to it. So that's just kind of funny. LaShawn who had a really good year 2 years ago. This last year, I think he actually got outshined by Bills a little bit, so it was kind of an interesting development. So I guess that could have led him being jettisoned as well.
Well, they got a really good defensive player for McCoy, so at least that makes sense. I mean, they're filling McCoy up with another running back who's just as explosive. Maybe not as fast, but just as explosive, and they got a defensive piece for whatever they need that for. So that's not worst.
And they got linebacker. Who knows what happens? When he comes back from his injury. Like he did as a rookie. Philly's inside linebacker not great. It's sort of like Green Bay currently. Confident. So, I mean, I guess if that works out, it's probably a pretty good trade, but the rest of it seems a little interesting.
That's true. Where do you think Greg Jennings is going to end up?
I heard he took
Tired.
Miami.
Yeah, he's in Miami right now visiting.
Joe Philbin.
That's true. I mean, that's true. It's his old coach, so maybe there's something there. I don't know what kind of money he's going to be bringing in, though.
I think that's weird to me because couldn't he have gone to Minnesota the first time, and like Philbin didn't even invite him.
Yep. Now he's a lot less expensive.
That's true.
Yeah, he's also 2 years older, right? So it's kind of like, he's going to be less expensive, but what kind of guy are you going to get now?
2 years older, and he's also 3 years since he's been relevant, though. So,
I mean, I wouldn't sign him, but that's just me. Maybe after he left.
You wouldn't bring him in for like $5 or $6 million a year?
No.
Oh, come on.
I mean, look at him. He's still on the market. Another guys on. Bring in Crabtree probably before I bring him in. And that's just that. I think I don't like old dudes.
I can understand that. So hey, I know we're talking about football, but I had a question for you guys. If you guys maybe had been thinking about this upcoming season, and obviously it is preseason. I mean, we're not even in preseason. We're pre-draft season. We're so bored with all the other sports right now. Although the Kings are playing the Vancouver Canucks right now, and I hope they're going to win tonight because they're like a point away from the playoff, last seed in the playoffs, and I'm kind of excited about that. I'm a big LA Kings fan, so I don't know if you watch the NHL at all, but it's the playoffs in NHL is like second best in any sport. It's amazing.
Playoffs are. I've watched them at a couple years ago, but I've never watched a single regular season game of hockey in my life.
Yeah, I've been to one live, but not in person or not on TV. I don't know. There's too many games to really care about. But I was curious if you guys maybe had given any thought to some teams that you think, or maybe one team or a couple teams that will make the playoffs this coming season that were not in the playoffs last year. And obviously there's going to be a couple teams that are not going to make the playoffs that were in the playoffs last year. But let's switch it around and say, like, what teams did not make the playoffs this last year that you think are going to make the playoffs this coming season?
Got it, Josh. I got it. Tampa Bay.
You gotta go with him.
Right? That you know what? I wouldn't be shocked, but I don't think that's the right answer, dude.
So you and me were both Bay people at the beginning of last year.
I was excited because Lovie Smith is what in my opinion he always had a good sophomore year. His first year or his freshman year in coaching was like great in Chicago. So I assumed it would just carry over, and I was excited about the quarterback situation. I know Josh McCown isn't exactly. He's not amazing, but he looked good in that last year in Chicago. I really had a gut feeling, just like I had a gut feeling 2 years ago when San Diego made that run. So
it's true.
I don't know. Well, who do you got this year then?
Oh man. God, I want to take a big flyer on someone, but I think they're still a year away. Or they might just do what they typically do and just fall apart. I think if the Raiders have a good draft, I think they're going to surprise some people. They have some really good core building blocks in place, and like I said, I might be a year on them, but by year three in the David Carr, Derek Carr, and Khalil Mack, and some other guys that they have around them. But I think the Raiders have a chance to be really good again.
No, I think that makes sense, honestly. I think the way that the Raiders make the playoffs, though, is if 3 teams from that division make the playoffs, because that seems to be the scenario every year. I don't think they're better than Kansas City, and I don't think they're better than the Denver Broncos, not until Manning retires.
Correct.
So they're going to have to be the 3rd seed in that division, and that's like 9-7, 10-6. It's not impossible, but that's looking at Kansas City and San Diego.
I think
the AFC one for me. My NFC team. I really hate to say this because they're in our division, but I think the Vikings. I think they have a legit.
You stole mine.
Oh no!
That's not
No,
even
this
fair,
is
man.
great. You and me both liking this team. It's not gonna happen.
Exactly, because that's how it happens every year.
No, this was kind of. They're gonna get rid of Peterson somehow, some way. Then they're gonna draft MG. He's gonna get hurt.
No. Adrian Peterson does not play for the Vikings this coming season. No way, because they were better without him last season. They were more balanced. Everyone stepped up. Their running game was actually more improved. I know that Adrian Peterson had statistically more yards, but they relied on him. Everyone else took a back seat and said, hey, we got this dynamic, amazing running back. Let's just let him do everything. And then what happened, and he's a piece of shit. I hope he never plays in the NFL again. But when they had Joseph Adai, or not Joseph Adai, what am I thinking of? Starts with an A, running back.
What's his name?
What is his name?
Anyway.
I don't know. They got a couple running backs that are pretty good, and they're all it's just a committee. And then their quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, is kind of scary.
He's legit.
I mean, if he keeps getting better every season, we're in trouble. Like, that worries me a lot, because in his rookie year, he looked pretty damn poised in there. That game that we played in Minnesota was the one I paid, obviously, the most attention to. And the Vikings looked really good. They played everybody tough in the last 6 weeks of the season. They could easily be a 9-7 or 10-6 team. In the NFC, that might not be a playoff spot, but I have a feeling that a few teams are going to get shaken up a little bit. I don't think the Niners are going to be very good next year. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be very good next year. I think that the Vikings have a chance to slip past a few of those teams and be second in the division and be tough, and that worries me a lot. I think they're a better team than the Detroit Lions, and I definitely think they're a better team than the Bears.
I agree.
So I agree. That was my pick, was the Vikings. Thanks a lot.
Let's see. If I were to pick a team that didn't make the playoffs, that they could. I mean, obviously, we mentioned before. They got the best defensive player. Unfortunately, no matter how good he is, that doesn't really put them like having a does. But I think they're close. Actually, Buffalo can get some quarterback and play. Do we know who the quarterback is there right now?
Where?
Buffalo.
Castle.
Oh my God. Maybe not Buffalo. But that defense, I think, has been good enough to at least keep them. Like, that's the type of overall that Houston doesn't have. And it's going to be interesting too. I think Miami. I think that whole AFC East is going to be pretty exciting.
I think Buffalo's defense is just going to get better too. Like, as scary as they were last season, they're actually going to be better next season. It's not going to matter who their quarterback is. They could sign Matt Sanchez for all that, or Mark Sanchez for all that matters. They're going to be winning games 17-10 every week. Not every week, but I think Buffalo's
the last half of the year after.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty similar. If there's a team that makes the playoffs that I don't think Baltimore. Or I guess Carolina. You know what's going to happen in the NFC. It's all a bunch of shitty teams. They can all be equally shitty in the playoffs with 7 wins.
Yeah, no, and then a reason, and then going back here is Matt Asiata was the running back from the Vikings, and also the reason why Adrian Peterson does not have to come back is because the Vikings have DeJuan Harris now. So that's it.
They have DeJuan Harris?
They did. They signed our third-string running back, who is probably the Vikings' best running
They
back
signed
option.
DeJuan Harris, and they signed Brandon Bostic. Anyone else they want from our team?
Yep. They signed, you know, that's the Vikings' MO, though.
That's true. They've done it.
I don't know. They've done it for years. Obviously, Brandon Bostic cannot play another down as a Green Bay Packer. It just wasn't going to happen. There was no way. But I still think he could be a good player. I do. He was fast. He had good hands. Okay, shut up. Maybe not great. Okay. But I think he could have eventually turned into a very good tight end. And if Minnesota proves us wrong, because they picked up one of our wide receivers last year, and he wound up being like one of their best wide receivers. I don't even remember his name. But
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. He was
And he
a
wanted-
7th-round pick of ours, and yeah, we cut it. Or we ended up. I think we traded him, or he got picked up by Cleveland. He was on a practice squad.
Yep.
And then Cleveland, I don't know where, but he found his way to Minnesota and had actually some chemistry with Bridgewater there.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think Bostic, he could wind up being a second-string tight end, and he'll probably get some plays next year. He had some chemistry with Matt Flynn, too. Bostic did.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
So
Hey, I also wanted to mention something too, real quick. It's not football related at all, but it was actually I wanted to congratulate Brett on winning our fantasy basketball league. Brett is the champion of Hoopy Pants, so I wanted to say in your honor tonight. After this was over, I was going to play some NBA Jam for the Super Nintendo.
nice.
Fun game, but you wound up beating our friend Travis in the championships, and Travis wanted me to let you know that he said, "Good game."
I was expecting something much worse than that.
No, I was hoping it was going to be more of a whooping than you put on him, because I think you beat him by like 580 points or something like that. I was hoping you were going to double him up, but it's okay. Maybe next year.
That was. Were you Splash Bros?
No.
No, gosh, no. I was, I don't remember what my name was. Probably like Turbo Team or something like that. Yeah, the Bricklayers. That was me. I was the Bricklayers. And by the way, week 12, I played you, Brett, and I wound up beating you that week. So just so you know, when you're ready to defend this championship, I think I'll be your first #1 contender because, week 12, I kind of mopped the floor with you. I was pretty proud of
Was
myself.
that the week I had like?
Yeah. It was the week that I had like Kobe Bryant go down with a knee injury the next week, and I actually had a pretty good team until everybody got hurt. I had Jabari Parker too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I know drafting Milwaukee Bucks players next year, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm not drafting any Bucks.
It's
not happening. Not jinxing anyone.
Yeah. No.
So that's it for
Yeah,
I missed the draft. That was auto draft.
Yeah, I think next season I'm going to let it auto draft whatever it wants me to pick, because I always pick with my heart, and then I wind up taking idiots like Kobe Bryant and Grant Hill. So.
That's it. Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose, yep. Hey, I got to use Kevin Durant when he played last week, and I won a game in the consolidation bracket.
There you go.
That was kind of cool.
Except for, of course, now with that injury, it's going to be scary. Obviously the best player in the league probably, but with that injury now, big, taller guys like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and what stinks even more is he didn't even get hurt in an NBA game. It was the Team USA. So.
Oh, you're thinking of Paul George.
Oh, I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, I am thinking of the wrong guy. That's right.
Wait, did you have him too?
No, I did not
I was
have
gonna
Paul
say,
George.
gee.
Paul Jordan.
No, half my team is on IR, but I didn't have Paul George.
Cool. Hey, before we leave, you mentioned that you be a pro wrestling one, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure we, no shame pump for that before we get off. How can we reach you on that? Like, how do people watch that? Do you have a YouTube channel or like a website or anything like that?
We actually produce all of our podcasts on a website called Podomatic.com, and you can find us. There's two ways. The best two ways to find us are honestly on Facebook. We update our Facebook page every week that we do a podcast, and that's simply facebook.com/pro wrestling off topic. And then another way to get a hold of me or ask questions during the podcast is to just tweet at me, and it's right on the screen there. It's @_Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore, because it's the most important underscore in all of the internet. But otherwise, yeah, we talk about pro wrestling. Sometimes we jump into other things, and the reason it's called off topic is we don't have a script. We have no plan. When we just hit record, we just start blabbing on whatever we talk about usually, and it kind of just goes all over the place. And I'm sorry if I got you guys off topic at all tonight, because I'm all over the place too. So
now we like it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, but looking at everything, looking at the Packers going forward, I mean, I feel really good about the team for sure, and I think that this draft is going to be very exciting. I hope that they fill cornerback and linebacker. Like, if they drafted just cornerbacks and linebackers, I think I'd be pretty happy. I just want to see them make a move in free agency. Just one little thing here, sign some veteran guy to kind of show some of the younger guys, because even Sam Shields, I understand he's been in the league for 5 years, but to me, he feels like a kid still, and he still makes some dumb mistakes every once in a while, and it's like, that's your veteran cornerback? Like, I understand he gets paid like he's a veteran cornerback, but I don't know. I don't know. I would have gotten rid of Shields and kept House. Is that weird? Is that weird to say that? Because that's how I feel. But that's what I would have done.
You would have saved the team a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, Cobb would have walked. We would be like $28 million under the cap right now. So we could.
Just let him go. And then you can get out of the cap space and sign a bunch of others.
Well, you let them go, and then they make their big money where else, and then you just draft guys. So I don't know.
Cool. Matt, do you have any closing thoughts before we end the show tonight?
No, I don't. We'll just thanks a lot, Josh, for joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun. We definitely want to have you on more often. You're willing to put up a couple of knuckleheads.
Well, if you're willing to put up with me, I could definitely see doing this again. It was a lot of fun. It was good. It was very good. I think that you're insane. Johnny Manziel sucks, and he always will suck. I think that Matt Ryan's best season was in the 2010 year when they were the #1 seed. He's never going to ever see that again.
Oh my!
I'm sorry. You got to be told these things so you can come to grips with your own reality.
Is he showing quarterbacks to like is what it is.
What?
Yeah, well, minus but I like Matty Ice. I liked RG3 a lot.
Yes, you did.
I love RG3. What happened?
If RG3 was a horse, he'd have been shot by now.
Oh my God.
So, okay. If the Titans really wanted to make a move and really wanted to do something, and the Atlanta Falcons were interested, they should trade that pick for Matt Ryan. And then the Atlanta Falcons could go ahead and draft a young quarterback and rebuild around him.
Well, that'd be kind of fun.
Well, I'm serious. I mean, you've got a couple good quarterbacks that everyone's really excited about in the draft right now, and Atlanta needs some kind of a spark.
There's I don't know, a running back maybe?
Maybe just anyone defensively would be nice because their defense is terrible.
Their defense is really bad. Their defense is really bad.
They haven't had a pass
They
rush.
haven't had a pass rush.
John Abraham.
John Abraham.
Yep. Yep.
All right, well, cool, man. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining us. Let's end this now because I'm tired of these are But it's good having you on, man. We'll probably do this again, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.